All right, y'all, let's get into the 2024 Grammys. Y'all ready? Let's go.
I came to vibe, you came to function, just do that, baby. Don't worry about nothing, no.
What's good, y'all? It's your boy Bright here, the R&B kid, and I'm back again with another episode of On the Bright Side TV. Welcome back. How you doing? Hope you're doing very well. Listen, y'all, of course, I had to hop up on this camera and talk about the 2024 Grammys, which just went down this past Sunday on February 4th, 2024. And what a Grammys it was. And as a quick reminder, guys, please go subscribe to the Patreon. On my Patreon page, I'll have longer videos, exclusive content there. So go check out my Patreon, link in the description, and go get your life. Appreciate y'all. I was actually down in DC visiting some of my college and Greek friends, and it was an amazing time. Shout out to the crew. Loved hanging out with y'all. So I was having a really good time in DC on Saturday, and then I actually traveled back to Boston on Monday, but I actually spent time with my Neo on Sunday watching the Grammys. So that was amazing. Shout out with Sean. We had a good time. And I have to say, this was definitely one of the most memorable Grammys in recent history for me personally, for many reasons. One, it was the year of the woman. It was ladies' night at the Grammys, especially for the main telecast. Like all the people who won on the main telecast, it was pretty much all women besides Phineas, who won with his sister Billie Eilish. So I think Phineas was the only man that actually won an award on the telecast, which is insane. So it was ladies' night this year, which is insane, and I love seeing that. Shout out to all the women. And even before that, for the premiere ceremony, which I really need to tap into. For those who don't know, that's the ceremony that where they'll present all the other awards that don't get presented on the main telecast. And I love tapping into those. I watch them every year on YouTube. It always starts around 2 or 3 o'clock, hours before the actual Grammys start, and they'll be in a separate theater, and they'll present pretty much all the other categories and every other category besides the ones that'll be presented at the main telecast. They switch it up every year in terms of what'll be presented on the telecast, but pretty much whatever is not on the telecast will be presented at the premiere ceremony. And I love watching those to really see the people who are not in the bigger categories, and to see them win and get their awards, and to see their speeches, and to see those moments. I love watching that every year. So this year's premiere ceremony was actually really interesting because a lot of really cool wins, and I thought it was just me, but at one point I hopped up on Twitter/X, and everybody was saying the same thing. They were like, yo, this premiere ceremony is the blackest event ever. At one point it seemed like damn near every winner that was going up on stage was a black person. Happy Black History Month. It was such a good, no shade, I'm sorry, it was so beautiful to see. Of course, other people won, there were other categories, but for the main categories, rap, R&B, gospel, we expect to see a lot of black folk. But even for other categories like Americana and there were just other categories. I feel so many other categories, we just saw so many black folk winning, a lot of these under the belt, under the line categories that are not as popular. But it was so beautiful. I felt every category I was seeing a black person walk, come up to accept their award, and it was beautiful to see. So I really wanted to highlight that about this year's Grammys. Even besides the big ones that we all care about, if you look at a lot of the smaller awards and a lot of the not as popular categories, a lot of black folk won this year, and I loved that. It was a great way to celebrate this this Black History Month. Shout out to my people out there. So I love that. So I definitely wanted to mention that. To me, that's what stands out from this year, is a lot of the love that were given to women who won awards this year, and on top of that, just a lot of the love for people of color, and especially black folk, in a lot of the other categories besides the popular ones this year. So that was really beautiful to see. I love seeing that. So I'm not going to dive too much into the premiere ceremony because there's a lot that happened, but y'all can go check it out. It's probably still on YouTube. But I did want to mention, as we all know, at one point during the premiere ceremony, when they were going through the rap categories, Killer Mike had actually won Best Rap Song for Scientists and Engineers, along with Future and Andre 3000 and Aaron Allen Kane. And it was a great moment. I loved it. I had him predicted to win that category, but unfortunately, the Recording Academy's Twitter/X account tweeted that Nicki Minaj and Ice Spice had won that category for Barbie World, which was an insane oversight and an insane mistake. But listen, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. A lot of people had their ideas online, but I think it's crazy that the only category where apparently whoever is overseeing the managing of their Twitter account, their X account, the only mistake that they made on that night was to mistakenly announce Nicki Minaj and Ice Spice's Barbie World as winning Best Rap Song. To me, I have a lot of thoughts. I'm not going to dive too much, and I'm not going to dive too deep into it. But I want to say two things. One, somebody's getting fired. Put that one. That's the first thing. Somebody getting fired. And two, because I feel like someone is getting fired, I just want to say that I think it's crazy that I feel like someone did behind the scenes did that purposefully to get people talking and to have a moment. And I feel bad that the Academy had to kind of like deal with that, because I don't think obviously the Recording Academy wanted that. I think that was the responsibility, and I think that was the fault of one person or maybe a group of people who decided to just do that like sneakily and secretly behind the scenes to get a moment for the world and to create a viral sensation, because they knew what they were doing, because no other mistakes were made. And it's not hard to avoid making mistakes when you are literally announcing awards after they've already been presented. So I don't know how that mistake got made. It seems intentional. I don't want to say on behalf of the Academy, but it seems intentional on behalf of the person or the people who are in charge of, announcing the awards that were happening during the premiere ceremony that night. And it's really messed up. And I feel bad that Killer Mike, Nicki Minaj, and Ice Spice had to be embroiled in all of that nonsense when they didn't deserve to be. Nicki Minaj should have been left in peace. Ice Spice should have been left in peace when they didn't win. And Killer Mike should have celebrated his win appropriately, in the digital, social media space. And he shouldn't have been involved in that. That was a mess. So I just wanted to talk about that. Let me know what are y'all thoughts on that mess. I really hate that happens. I hate that happens. And I don't like the fact that I feel like it just happened on some some messy shit. But it's 2024 and y'all love the mess. So they gave it to y'all. And y'all fell for it. Shout out to the Barbs. Nicki is still without a Grammy, but honestly, y'all, at the end of the day, and it is crazy that she doesn't have a Grammy, but it does not take away from her talent and her legacy. So let's move on. And speaking of the rap categories, I really want to talk about this because it really bothered me. In the fact that the world just recently celebrated 50 years of hip hop in 2023, and we're low-key still celebrating that milestone of 50 years of this amazing genre that has taken over the world and literally ran culture since the day it hopped on the scene. For the rap categories, mind you, Killer Mike pretty much swept all the categories, so that was beautiful to see. So it wasn't like it was the most exciting year for the rap categories, besides, Lil Durk and J. Cole winning for melodic rap. Killer Mike won everything, but still, the fact that none of the rap categories were televised on the main telecast this year is insanely shameful and disgraceful. Not only because we just celebrated 50 years of hip hop, but just in general, even if we didn't have this milestone, rap is so much at the forefront of culture, and it's such at the forefront of the zeitgeist of music, and probably will forever be, if we're being honest, until I see something different. For rap to not be represented in any way in the telecast, not at least one category, we didn't need several, but to not, televise at least, rap performance or rap song, or especially rap album. I feel like rap album is always the one that makes the most sense to televise, if anything. Killer Mike should have deserved that moment, and I'm not even gonna get into what happened to Killer Mike because it's null and void. I'm not gonna bring attention to that because that was some bullshit. But for Killer Mike to not be able to get the chance to, get that love that he was able to get at the premiere ceremony, he should have been able to give an amazing speech and get that moment on the main telecast with the way that he dominated the rap categories this year. We always have at least one rap category presented at the Grammys every year. So for the fact that the Grammys didn't make it happen this year just seems really strange and intentional. Like, I don't know if it's like they knew Killer Mike was winning and they didn't care about giving him a moment, or I don't know what was behind that. But the fact that, like, for as many as I can remember, we've always had rap at least one category on the main telecast. We all know the murky history with rap at the Grammys back in like the 80s and 90s. But as of recently, in the past, in this recent generation, rap has always had at least one category that was shown on the telecast. So I don't know why this is the first year, and I don't know how long, where they decided to make that not the case. That's strange as hell to me, and it was extremely offensive and disrespectful. So the Recording Academy, I got beef with y'all about that, and I don't understand. I want to know, like, what was the decision behind that? Why did y'all decide to do that? And who approved that? Like, that wasn't okay. Killer Mike should have got that moment. Or even if it was just melodic rap, like, let Lil Durk and J. Cole have that moment on the main telecast. Like, at least one rap category should have been presented. So I don't know why that didn't happen, but let me know y'all thoughts on that. And let me know what category you'd have liked to seen, on the main telecast on rap. I'm assuming, like me, best rap album. But let me know what category you would have liked to have seen. And the last thing I wanted to say before I get into my overall thoughts on the show, in terms of, the major beef I have with the Grammys this year, is the decision for Victoria Monet to not have a performance. I do not understand, with Victoria Monet being one of the second most nominated artists, 7 nominations this year, 7 nominations only behind SZA, her and Phoebe Bridgers. Both, I think her, Phoebe Bridgers, and Sabrina Ganya, the engineer, iconic engineer. Those 3 people all got 7 nominations. For Victoria to be one of the second most nominated artists and to not have Phoebe Bridgers, I can understand. I can understand that, to be honest. But Victoria Monet has had an amazing breakout year, has a hit song out right now that could have been and should have been performed. And she was present. She won Best New Artist. I don't understand why the Recording Academy didn't coordinate with Victoria's team to be able to have her perform. Just on my mama, real quick, in and out. I don't think she would have took a lot of time. And I feel like it would have been a great moment for the show because I know she would have brought the energy. She would have brought the vibe. She would have brought the talent. She would have brought the spectacle that I feel like the show kind of needed a little bit. I feel like Victoria Monet would have brought that. So, and I feel like besides SZA, I don't think really had any other R&B moments. I guess besides, maybe the In Memoriam and, Stevie Wonder, Fantasia, and John Batiste. So, we had a good amount of R&B, soul, gospel vibes, but I really feel like besides, SZA was only a contemporary R&B artist we have performing, and that's fine. She did a great job, but I feel like Victoria would have been the perfect other artist to join her in that space. And I really feel like Victoria would have been ready and she would have killed it. So I'm really mad about that. Let me know y'all thoughts about that. I'm like, the more I think about it, when the Grammys ended, I'm like, yo, why the hell did Victoria not perform? 7 nominations, she won Best New Artist and 2 other Grammys, and she has a hit song out right now that the world is loving. I feel like everything was kind of brewing for a perfect storm. We already went through this with the VMAs not letting her perform. At least the Grammys, nominated her and awarded her, so she's in the Grammy circle. Cool. But the Grammys repeat history with not letting Victoria perform. I don't understand why these award shows are not letting Victoria perform. I know she's still building her name and building her, her cachet in the industry. But it's come on, y'all. Victoria is here. She's here. I know she's not, Beyonce or Rihanna or, Mariah Carey or Lady Gaga. Fine, she's not an A-lister yet, but she's building her name. And if anything, she has shown the world time and time again that she has the chops to come on anybody's award show and dominate that stage. So what are we doing, bro? What are we doing? So Grammys, I don't know why y'all didn't get Victoria to perform, but that was a major L. Take that L, because she would have ratings, a viral moment, Victoria would have given that to y'all. Come on. A shame. All right, now let me get to my overall thoughts on this year's show. For me, I thought the actual production of the show was okay. To me, what I love most about this year's show was really the award winners, some of the performances, I guess the energy in the room and the energy of how the show felt. But I think in terms of the actual production value, to me, a lot of it was lacking. I think Trevor Noah as the host did a great job as well. Salute to my guy. Trevor Noah, to me, is an amazing host, really underrated. His balance of humor, but still hitting the major points talking wise, integrating and talking with the crowd and the people at home. I feel like he just balances and does it so well. So he did a great job as the host. I thought it was amazing. But I think what I was disappointed by this year at the Grammys was definitely the production value. The audio, to me, was the main thing that really irked me throughout the night. I felt like the audio was terrible. It wasn't, I wouldn't say terrible, but the audio for so many performances and this throughout the night was really subpar. You could hear so much of the background noise in the crypto.com arena. Even during performances, during presenters and all that, you heard so much background noise, and I feel like that's not been as much of an issue in past years of the Grammys. So I'm not sure what happened this year, but it seemed like the audio was just off and all over the place and out of whack. So I feel like the audio just felt cheap to me. They didn't really engineer it right, but whatever. We didn't really have that much in the way of really cool lighting, and there wasn't really a lot going on with skits and intermissions and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I don't always need a lot of that, a lot of that fluff and all that BS. So that was fine. But I do wish that we had just, had better production value with the audio and all that. But the one thing I will say that I did love this year is I loved how they presented all the awards with the nominees. Like I loved the circular, structure they had for all the awards when they presented the nominees and the winners. I love the stage. I love how big it was and all the pictures of the people who won. I love how it was always so big, and I also really loved like the intro like video packages that they gave certain people when they were about to perform. Like I think they did it for like SZA, Travis Scott, Luke Combs. I think a few of the people, I forgot who, but they gave like some people like these like really cool like stories where they kind of like presented like the artists, like, their story and their journey up until this point, like, just like, their artistry and their vision and like, just like what they bring to the table and like, yeah, just really talking about their story and like how they got to the Grammys and all that. And I love that. I really loved SZA. I think SZA in particular was gorgeous. I just loved all those. I think Miley Cyrus got one too. I think I can't remember, but y'all know what I'm talking about. But all those like those quick video packages before like somebody like performed or presented or whatever, I loved those. And I think that's something that they should continue to do, like, honestly, every year. The problem is kind of figuring out who gets one versus who doesn't, because it'll take up a long time if like everybody who's performing gets one. But I really feel like as long as they strategically figure out who should like get a video package before they perform, I think it was such a good idea. It brought a really fresh new like vibe to the Grammys. It really made it feel like contemporary. I love the digital marketing aspect that I feel like we don't really see a lot with the Grammys. So I loved that vibe. I loved it. So that was definitely a highlight for me as well. But to me, I just thought the overall the show, like, to me, it wasn't like one of like the worst Grammys. It wasn't one of the best. It was just very like middle of the middle brow. I don't really think it was whack, but also didn't excite me that much. But it was definitely like a nice watch. To me, it wasn't. I don't think it'll be as. I don't think this show was one of the most memorable. I definitely think this is one of the most memorable in terms of like the winners and the narratives that happens, but not so much in terms of the show itself. But I don't think there's anything else I want to pinpoint, but let me know what you thought about the show overall. All right, so I'm not going to go through every single moment in the show, but I just want to pinpoint some highlights that I want to talk about. I love seeing our Queen Mariah Carey present Miley Cyrus with her Grammy for Best Pop Soul Performance for Flowers. Love that moment. I loved Miley Cyrus, giving, no pun intended, her flowers to Mariah Carey. I love that moment. Both MCs giving love to each other. I loved that. So that was really great to see. Mariah Carey looked amazing. It was so good seeing her pop out real quick. She don't do it a lot, so I love seeing her pop out. And I love the love that Miley Cyrus gave to Mariah Carey. So that was a really beautiful moment. I love that. I also wanted to highlight Lizzo presenting SZA with Best R&B Song. I really love that moment because they really are good friends. So I love seeing that moment between them for, Lizzo to give that Grammy to SZA. And I also thought it was interesting that Lizzo popped out as well in the midst of what's going on with her last year. And I'm actually kind of glad that Lizzo popped out because I feel bad that the world, and I don't want to say the industry, but I guess the world just tried to like shadow ban Lizzo to the gallows in the midst of everything that she got mixed up in last year that she's been accused of. And I feel bad because I don't think we really got closure to that Lizzo situation. I don't think we've ever got any updates from that case, and I don't think we got any closure, got any definitive evidence or closure as to what happened. So I feel kind of bad that in the midst of that, the world's just kind of been like, Lizzo, bye. But it's like, I feel like it's not really fair. Like, until we have any hard evidence or anything, it's like, I don't want Lizzo to just be like extricated from the industry and from the world. So I'm glad she popped on. She said, "Hey y'all, I'm here. What's up? I'm presenting the next Grammy, and the winner is." I love that. Like, I was like, okay, bet. Like, let's go. I appreciate Lizzo popping out. So I'm glad she was there. So I just want to mention that real quickly. What else do we have in terms of, the main presenters and all that? Lenny Kravitz presented Jon Batiste, and then Oprah Winfrey presented Fantasia. Oh, I'm sorry, and Stevie Wonder. And then Oprah presented Fantasia Barrino for the In Memoriam and Tina Turner tribute, which I loved. I love that whole segment. That was really beautiful, so I wanted to mention that. I really appreciated that segment in particular because in this past year we lost a lot of folks. Clarence Avant, rest in peace to I look up to that man. That man means a lot to me. Shout out to Ernest Clavon. I low-key want to be like a Clarence Avant when I get older, so I'm not gonna get into that right now, but rest in peace Clarence Avant. Tina Turner, we lost Gangsta Boo. We lost so many people in the past year. Harry Belafonte, like, so that In Memoriam section was really, really heavy. It was deep. I was like, damn, we lost so many mighty giants in the past year. So I feel like Jon Batiste and Ann Nesby of Sounds of Blackness, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, Stevie Wonder, duetting with Tony Bennett. That was beautiful. I loved that. Rest in peace Tony Bennett as well. And then Fantasia coming out to do Proud Mary. Woo! Really, doing justice, by Tina Turner's name and her legacy. With that voice and that charisma and that energy of hers. Fantasia, Tasia, you did that, sis. That was amazing. I loved it. Congrats on getting that slot. To salute Tina Turner. You did a great job. I love the outfit. You sounded great. You had good energy. I love how she picked out Dooley. She said, "Now I need a woman who can shake her hips." She pointed this white woman. She said, "Yeah." She's like, "Can it be you?" And she moved on. I cried. I was weak. She said, "Dua Lipa, you." I don't even think she know who Dua Lipa is, but she's like, yeah, she saw Dua Lipa, she said, "You." And then Dua Lipa said, I know that's right, Dua Lipa. And that's why Dua Lipa is my girl, because Dua Lipa gets it. Even with all the struggles she had when she first came out with the dance thing, bitch, Dua Lipa one thing about it, Dua Lipa going 1-2 steps. She gonna roll her hips. She gonna do what she gotta do. And I forgot to mention, Dua Lipa opened the show with, a freaking Dance the Night, her new track Training Season, which I can't wait to hear when it drops later this month, and Houdini, one of my favorite songs of 2023. And she did a great job. Shout out to Dua, our new modern pop queen. I love her down. That's my girl. I love when Fantasia called her. She was like, "Yeah, you." And then Dua Lipa was like, I was like, "I know that's right. That's my girl." Dua Lipa, we depended on you and you delivered. Shout out to you. But yeah, man, I love what Fantasia did. Fantasia had a great performance. So that was really a great moment. I love seeing that. What else I want to mention? Lionel Richie, he popped out to present Song of the Year. Love that. Samara Joy presented Best New Artist to Victoria Monet. I loved that moment. That passing the torch from one amazing black vocalist and artist to another amazing black artist. Like, in my opinion, two of our modern greats right now, Samara Joy and Victoria Monet. To see that moment was gorgeous. And Victoria Monet's speech, I'll probably get into let me just do it right now. Victoria Monet, I have to mention real quickly, like, bro, Victoria Monet, I don't think a lot of people know, but I am a huge fan of Victoria Monet, and I've also been a day one fan. I'm actually I'm gonna claim it. I'm one of the few people who have been up on Victoria Monet since 2014. Like, I'm a day one Victoria Monet fan. Like, I loved her since 2014, and I always saw the vision, and I always saw how amazing she was. And since 2014, I have been in love with her music and in love with her talent. And I've been waiting for the rest of the world to catch up. And finally, it happens last year with the Jaguar 2 era. And it's still happening. And I've been so happy for her ever since. Her speech was amazing. I'm so happy for her in this moment. Winning 3 Grammys, Best New Artist, Best R&B Album, which she deserved. And also Best Engineered Album Non-Classical. That's the one that really means a lot, especially Best New Artist and Engineered Album, because my girl Victoria is one of the few artists that actually worked to engineer and help engineer her own album. And I know it meant a lot to her because she be in that studio, like, combing through every single detail, like just really honing in that music and making it sound good. And it paid off with 3 Grammys this year. I'm so happy for you, Victoria. You deserve all your things, and I love you, and I'm so happy for you. And hopefully I can't wait to meet you one day and just tell you how much you mean to me. Like, I love you and I love your talent and you're everything. So, congrats on your night. Love it. So yeah, man, shout out to Victoria Monet. I love her down. That's my girl. So happy for her. As well as Coco Jones. I'll talk about later too. But yeah, man. And then Meryl Streep and Mark Ronson popped out to present Record of the Year. That was a funny skit. I loved how they were talking about Record of the Year for Song of the Year. That was hella cute. I love that. And then Celine Dion, our white Afro queen. Our white Nubian queen. Shout out to all the Caribbean islands. Their Nubian, their Ivory Queen popped out. And it was so good to see Celine Dion, man. She looked amazing. It was so good to see her, man. I love seeing her in good spirits. She looked amazing. And she presented Album of the Year to Taylor Swift for Midnights, which I'll talk about later. Love seeing Celine Dion. That was amazing as well. Shout out to her. And she looked amazing. It really was in great spirits, so I love seeing that. And 2 of the moments I want to talk about from the Grammys, when Taylor Swift won for Best Pop Vocal Album for Midnights, U2 presented that to her from the Sphere in Vegas. She used the opportunity to announce her new album called The Tortured Poets Department, which is dropping in April. And I'm torn on that, on that moment, because at the end of the day, I didn't like how Taylor used that moment to, to fuel her capitalistic ways and her capitalistic tendencies, to be honest. But at the same time, I thought it kind of ate a little bit. I was like, all right, this is kind of corny, but at the same time, like, is there really a better, she announced, Midnight's at, at the 2022 VMAs. So I'm like, is there really a better way to announce an album coming out of yours than at an award show where you just won a major award? There really might not be, especially when you're an artist of her caliber. So she kind of ate a little bit. I can't hate. Like, she really ate a little bit with that. But at the same time, I was like, damn, like, no other artist does this, and because I feel like a lot of other artists don't move like that, and I don't know whether to commend Taylor for her moving like that or to be like, this is hella corny. I don't know, because I can't hate on it, because it's like your job as an artist is to promote yourself and to use every opportunity you can to promote yourself and what you got going on. But at the same time, I feel like there's a time and a place, and so I don't know if that I don't know, but let me know how y'all feel about that. But I thought it was kind of cool, but I was also like, so let me know what y'all think about that. And I also want to talk about, I'm not really mad at Trevor Noah, because I know he was looking for a moment, but when he sat down, I forgot like what segment it was, but at some point, like, after commercial break, like, Trevor Noah sat down with, I think it was it Ziggy Marley? I think it was Ziggy Marley and Kingsley Benadir, talking about how, Kingsley will play Bob Marley in the new movie, One Love. And the segment was real quick. It was a stupid skit about, like, Ziggy was saying something like you done know, or something like that. And then Kingsley was like, yeah, man, I don't know what he's saying, but it's a vibe. And I'm like, we're not about to reduce Ziggy Marley to him saying something like, yeah, done know, whatever Jamaican patois he was saying. And then it's like, oh yeah, I don't know what this man's saying, but like, whatever. Like, that was so corny to me. And for 3 black men to be like, to agree to do that dumb shit to me really offended me, and it was so whack to me during Black History Month. Like, that was so corny to me. I'm not really mad at Trevor Noah, because I know they probably just encouraged him to have like a little cute moment with them, but it's like, it was corny. It didn't read the room at all. Like, it was weird. It was a waste of time, and it was offensive to Jamaican culture, and I felt bad for Ziggy. I felt bad for Kingsley Benadir, and I also felt bad for Trevor, because I feel like he got pressured to do that dumb shit, and there's no need for it. So that was corny. That was a throwaway. It didn't need to be there, but whatever. What else is new? These producers love getting off random shit, so what else is new? All right, and the last major moment that I want to point out from the show, from my memory, is Jay-Z winning the Dr. Dre Global Impact Award, which I know a lot of people are still mad that they're still naming it the Dr. Dre, award. But at the end of the day, this award is still very much brand new. I'm not surprised they haven't dropped Dr. Dre's name on the award, because I'm not surprised. It is what it is. But whatever. Well, I digress. But yeah, Jay-Z won it this year for his contributions to music, and just celebrating his legacy and his influence on the world. And he definitely deserved it. And I was happy he won. And I, for one, loved his speech. I thought Jay-Z's speech was amazing. To me, that'll definitely go down as one of the greatest and one of the most memorable Grammy speeches of all time. Even though it actually wasn't for a competitive Grammy, but it still meant a lot. I loved it. I'm not gonna reiterate everything he said, but I really appreciated Jay-Z's candor, his honesty, and his transparency, and just his realness about the game that is the Grammys. And at the end of the day, like, whether or not the Academy or the industry, he's speaking to like all artists coming up, established artists and new artists coming up, like, whether or not this Academy gives you your things, whether or not you get recognized by the industry in different ways, like, you need to continue to show up and prove to yourself that you are the master of your own fate, and that you are the one running your own ship, and that you are worthy of feeling and calling yourself and being recognized as a genius, and as a chairman of your own of your own team, and of your own music, and just you are the leader of your ship. And if you keep showing up and keep putting in the work, it's all gonna come to you in due time. And if it doesn't come to you, fuck it, do it for yourself. And that's pretty much what Jay-Z was saying, and I love that, because at the end of the day, he was pretty much saying that, like, yeah, like, artists love Grammys, we all want Grammys, and that's true. Like, all artists, I hate when artists act like they don't want Grammys, because that's not the truth. Artists do want Grammys. Artists just get mad when they get snubbed, or they don't get nominated, or they lost to somebody that they feel like they shouldn't have lost to. And that's all valid. It's all valid. Like, at the end of the day, music is tough, and the Grammys are tough because music is subjective. But at the end of the day, and I agree with Jay-Z, he was pretty much saying that, like, just because we have a lot of frustrations with the Grammys, especially like, people of color, black folk, black artists have in particular had a lot of issues with the Grammys for decades now. And just because we've had those frustrations, just because we've had this contentious history, doesn't mean we should like give up and throw up our hands and walk away and say like fuck the Grammys. It doesn't mean we should do that. He was saying like, yo, we love the Grammys, we love y'all. That was a strong choice of words, but I feel like I agree with him in just saying that like, you know, all artists, black artists included, you know, we want to be acknowledged by the Grammys and we want that recognition, and they want that validation. Not the validation, that's the wrong word, but they want that recognition for their work and for their craft and for the hard work put in and for the music that has blessed the world. But there's been so much bullshit happening that it's like, you know, it's soured the relationship between, you know, the musical community of color and this academy and this voting body for years and years and years. But this can be, you know, we can work on fixing what's been happening with just more conversation, you know, and more action, getting more people of color in the academy, getting more people of color, like, you know, on the voting, on the boards and on, you know, in the voting body, and just getting more artists of color and getting more black artists, you know, involved in what's going on. You know, shout out to the Black Music Collective that is working hard to do a lot of that stuff behind the scenes in the industry. And there's so many other collectives and, you know, programs and, you know, other things out there that are working to improve the day-to-day lives of so many, you know, independent young artists, you know, black artists out there. So, you know, these people out there are doing the work, but you know, there's so much that goes into, you know, being nominated for a Grammy and winning one, and it's a long road and it's a long journey. And when you finally get there, you know, you're happy and you feel validated. But at the same time, like, there's been so many instances of major snubs. Like he said, like the most awarded artist in history now, which is not Beyonce, Giselle Knowles, with 34 or 5 Grammys now to her name, has never won in the big 4 categories besides Song of the Year once for single ladies. She's never won Album of the Year. That's truly insane. I could understand why she lost for I'm Sasha Fierce, but you know, between self-titles, I can understand that too. But especially the loss for Lemonade and Renaissance, insane, bro. Kendrick Lamar not winning to this, you know, at any point for, you know, T-Pab or Damn or Good Kid, Mad City, insane, bro. SZA, I'll talk about this later, but SZA losing this year, insane. Like, you know, nobody is owed an award, but we have to be honest about the patterns that we see and the patterns that have been shown to, you know, to the world for years and years and years with the Grammys, and we have to get it right. To me, the solution is not to walk away and to say fuck the Grammys and black people, let's all do our own thing. Nah. Happy Black History Month. In my opinion, the solution is to stay in it and fight for us to be not validated, but for us to be awarded and recognized on the same level as every other artist in the world. And that's not even just black folk. That's what every artist in the world should be fighting for. Not fighting to get Grammys, but fighting for an equal chance to be awarded and recognized just like any other artist of any other genre, race, you know, label situation, whatever the fuck is going on. If anything, that's what the Grammys are there for. The Grammys are there to be an equalizer. It don't matter your race. It don't matter your chart position, how many units you sold, what label you're on. Ideally, that's what the Grammys were created for it to be an equalizer, for it to be about the fucking music. So when you think about that, why the hell should black artists want to exclude themselves and say bye because of a lot of the bullshit we've dealt with? Yes, we have dealt with bullshit. Yes, you know, we've been snubbed time and time again, and I hate it. And I'm the first person I would say fuck the Grammys for all the bullshit that they put black artists through, and especially when we know we are the demographic and we are the, you know, the subculture, not even the sub, we are the entity in music that moves the needle. We have since the beginning of time, and we always will. So knowing that, the answer is not to dip away and to disregard the Grammys and pretend as if they will not, for as long as we all know that they will not continue to be the highest standard of awards recognition in music. Us leaving the Grammys is not gonna make that not the case. Will it definitely maybe impact some things, make it weird? Of course, and it'll probably wake them the fuck up. So, you know, that's the good part of it if we were to do it. But at the end of the day, like, I don't see any value in this in black artists and people who have been snubbed, you know, other artists who have been snubbed time and time again, pretending like they don't give a fuck, because that's not the case. Like, let's not do that. Let's work on actually honing in our energy and our efforts and our resources to actually bringing more people of color into the academy, changing the rules, changing the processes and the workflows so that we're not seeing as much of the bullshit happen. The Grammys are always going to be a reflection of America and the world. So of course, white supremacy, racism are always going to be at play. Until the world fixes itself, we can't expect the Grammys to be a perfect representation of music, of the world. We can't. And so we have to be a little bit patient. And I appreciated I appreciated what he said, because it's all true. Like, I really appreciate how he extended the olive branch of saying like, yo, like, Grammys, like, black artists, we rock with y'all. We want to be a part of what's going on. But at the end of the day, we got to get it right. And that's really it. That's it. At the end of the day, we have to get it right. And the way we get it right is not by dipping. The way we get it right is by coming together and talking and figuring it out. And that'll take a lot of time. And it's work that's being done already. Shout out to Harvey Mason Jr. As the director of the Academy right now. Like, and things are already happening, and it's gonna take a while for these things to manifest. But I really don't like when a lot of other YouTubers and people who are in the industry just be like, oh well, black folks, we need to say fuck the Grammys. Like, I don't think it's that simple, bro. This is an establishment that's been around for decades and is already established as the highest honor you can get in music. There's no point in trying to change that, especially if we're talking about black people, coming into our own spaces and celebrating ourselves and creating our own platforms. I, for one, am so sick and tired of everybody talking about that as if that's not already happening. Yes, we have a lot of work to do with the BET Awards, especially in past years. It's been a hot mess with the production value and, sometimes even the winners and, nominees and winners. We have a lot of work to do with the BET Awards, but come on, y'all. Like, my favorite award show every year is the Soul Train Awards. After that, the NAACP Image Awards. White people will step out the room for a second. This is black folk business. White people will step out the room. Black folk business. My black people. My black folk out there. Hi, y'all. How y'all doing? Happy Black History Month. Love y'all. But let's have a real conversation. Y'all always talking about, oh, black folk, we need to set up our own thing. We need to do our own award show. Yo, we already have so many of them. But the problem is, y'all barely support. I'm going to say, no, y'all. Our entertainers, our top entertainers. I'm not even gonna throw shade, but even Jay-Z himself and Beyonce. When was the last time we seen them at the Soul Train Awards? When was the last time we saw Beyonce at the BET Awards? When was the last time we saw Beyonce rapping at the NAACP Image Awards? Like, let's talk about it. Like, I love the Soul Train Awards. That is my favorite award show every year. As an R&B, as a lover of R&B soul music, I go up for the Soul Train Awards every goddamn year. But no one ever taps in. No one cares anymore. These young kids don't care about the Soul Train Awards. Even our old generation, no one taps into the Soul Train Awards anymore. Like, no one watches. No one cares. This year was at Keke Palmer's house or some random house in LA, and I thought it was a vibe, but no one liked it. Y'all barely tap into the BET Awards these days, and that's been a hot mess with its production value, as we all know. We got the BET Hip Hop Awards, and that's cool, but that also could be leveled up a lot. We have the NAACP Image Awards, which I think always have beautiful nominations and winners every year, but nobody tapped into those awards. Like, they showed it on TV, but like nobody taps in. Most black folk don't tap into those awards the way they'll tap into the Oscars and the Grammys and the VMAs and the all these other awards. Like what are we doing? Black people talk about, oh, we need to get, Diddy and Jay-Z and Beyonce and all these other, Oprah, all these other powerful entertainers. They all need to come together and create this new award show. It's like, what? Why are we talking about that when we already have literally a handful of other award shows where we already highlight and focus on our own culture and our people? We already have these award shows. Y'all don't tap in. So why is exiting the Grammys gonna solve that? We already have our award shows that y'all don't tap into enough. Let me know if y'all think I'm tripping, but I don't understand this narrative. I'm sorry I'm going off right now, but I really feel passionate about this. Like, I don't understand why we are all so hell-bent on talking about, oh, we need to leave the Grammys and say fuck them. Shout out to The Weeknd. I support his fight. I support 100% because what they did to him in 2021 was fucked up. But for all of the other artists out here and for all the other YouTubers and cultural critics who are talking about, oh, we need to leave the Grammys, I understand it. I get it. But in reality, y'all, we already have these award shows. Why? But we're not supporting it. We're not tapping into them. We're not watching. So what makes us think creating a new one is going to help? Like, the way, the Soul Train Awards should be like the Black Grammys for R&B soul music. That's what it is. But we don't treat it like that. Our artists, no shade, our artists care more about the Grammys than they do the Soul Train Awards. Let's keep it a bean. So many artists, you don't see them pop up at the Soul Train Awards, but they're going to be at the Grammys. You best believe all these artists out here, if they're nominated for a Grammy, they're going to be at the Grammys. But if they're nominated for a Soul Train Award, maybe we'll see them there. No shade. I know, like, even, no shade, but SZA, Victoria Monet, Usher, so many artists were nominated for Soul Train Awards this year. I know everyone's busy, schedules are, different. They probably weren't not in town or whatever, fine. But it's like, for some reason, all these artists, when they're nominated for a Grammy, when they're nominated for a VMA, they're going to show up to that award show. No matter what's going on. No matter what, touring, whatever, they're going to show up. Ed Sheeran flew from, like, Taiwan or some shit. I heard Taylor Swift flew, like, these artists are going to make sure they're at the Grammys. That they're going to make sure they're at the VMAs. They're going to, if they're nominated at the Oscars, they're going to make sure they're at the Oscars. But if black folk, if black artists, if they nominate at the BET Awards, if they're not at the Soul Train Awards, NAACP, maybe they'll show up, maybe they won't. And that's the energy we give our own platforms. Yet y'all are talking about, oh, black folk, we need to say fuck the Grammys and do our own shit. We already do it. So what are we saying? So white folk and everybody else come back into the room. I got my rant over, but let me know what y'all think about that. But that's really my opinion. I really appreciate Jay-Z's speech because I really feel like that's the energy we all need to have. It's not about leaving. It's not about saying, fuck y'all. It's about coming to the table and figuring it out and fighting for our place at the table, not because we need the validation. We already know we're the shit. Like, black folk, we know we run this shit. We know we move the needle. We know that. We don't need white folks to validate that, but we need to fight for being fairly awarded and having equal chance at being recognized and awarded as much as every other artist because we deserve it, period. And because it's the right thing to do. Not because we're like thirsty for validation. That's not the reason why. Black folk, we know we're the shit. We don't need to be validated. But I'll be damned if we're not going to be awarded an album of the year, a record of the year, a song of the year, best new artist, or this award, that award at the Grammys when we deserve it because of, racism and because of the popularity contest that is the music industry that favors white mediocrity 9 times out of 10. That's it. So, rant over. Jay-Z, thank you for your speech. It was a little, a little boozy, a little drunk and lit and vibing all over the place, but I appreciated it. And it was so beautiful seeing Blue Ivy at her big age up there with her daddy. That was so beautiful to see. Blue Ivy, you are big as hell now. And I'm like, Jesus, you're 12 now, but you're a big girl. Like, who that? She was a baby 5 minutes ago. Like, what happened, bro? We're all getting old as hell. But Blue Ivy, you look gorgeous, and it was so beautiful seeing you support your dad. Both Blue and Beyonce were like looking at her like nigga, you better get it together. Like, don't say nothing crazy, no. Beyonce was standing there like, get the fuck out of that stage, nigga. She was like, just stop talking crazy. But I also know that Beyonce was like, oh, look at Jay standing up for me. But I know at some point she was like, all right, you getting a little too crazy. Like, get off that stage. Like, come on, ho, get off. So yeah, I really love that. I really love that speech. Shout out to Jay-Z, man. I love that speech. I guess I'll move into obviously the next big topic, which is SZA's snub and album of the year for SOS. We'll go right into that. That was the last moment of the night, not the biggest, but the last moment of the night for the biggest award of the night. And when Celine Dion presented album of the year to Taylor Swift for Midnights and not SZA for SOS, I'm not gonna say I was floored, but I was like, wow, we're really doing this in this type of way. And when I say that, it was understandable when, Tim Pimple Butterfly lost to 1989 back in 2016. It was understandable. It was understandable in a sense when Lemonade lost to 25 back in 2017. It was understandable somewhat. It was somewhat understandable when Renaissance lost to Harry's House last year. Even though all those snubs were fucked up, it was still a little bit understandable when you think about, just the music industry and the way it works with, numbers and charts and just, impact throughout the year. It was understandable how Beyonce and Kendrick in those particular instances lost out on album of the year, even though it shouldn't have happened. But what really made this year's album of the year outcome unbelievable, in my opinion. Well, actually, I thought to myself that actually Taylor Swift winning album of the year, it didn't make any sense, but it actually made perfect sense. It didn't make any sense because for people that actually like me, that follow music, follow the industry, we're in tune with what's going on. if we're talking about like, just numbers, commercial impact throughout the year, SOS and Midnights were pretty much neck and neck. SOS was at number one for like 10 weeks at the beginning of 2023. Whereas Midnights only had like a few weeks at number one, I think. Whereas Anti-Hero off Midnights had several weeks at number one, whereas like Kill Bill only had like 1 week at number one. So they kind of had like different peaks and valleys with like their success. But if you look at just like on paper, like numbers wise, besides the fact that Taylor Swift sold like 1.5 million units first week, besides that, throughout, if we're talking about like impact commercially throughout the year, they pretty much were kind of neck and neck if we're talking numbers, right? So that's why we always knew it was always going to be one or the other album. Like I wouldn't have seen a world where any other album besides Midnight or SOS would have won. I predicted SOS and I wanted SOS to win, as I think most people in the world did. But I also knew that there was a good chance that if SOS were to lose, it will be to Midnight, and that's what happened. But what I think is crazy to me is that even though Midnight's was the obvious number 2 in my eyes before becoming the number 1, and the fact that they had the same kind of commercial impact throughout the year, is the fact that even though they were at the same level commercially in a way, SZA's SOS, not only just in the present moment of like 2023, 2024, 2022 when it dropped, but I think for years and decades to come and generations to come, SOS is going to be known as and will go down as one of the most groundbreaking albums of our time. That's just on period. It is what it is. Midnight is an album that really had a lot of impact in this present moment, and it will definitely go down as an album that will continue to sell well and have impact in the pop world for sure, but not to the level of what SOS has done and will do for music in general. 9 times out of 10, most people who you would interview in the industry, it's itself, other artists, other culture critics, bloggers, other entertainers, if you ask them who they would have wanted and who they thought would have won album of the year, 7-8 times out of 10, it was SZA's SOS. So I think for me, it was kind of shocking because with the Grammys being a peer voted system, and with me knowing that the Grammys have been more diverse than they ever have in terms of the voting body and the people who are actually in the Academy, it kind of shocked me and woke me up to the fact that even in a year where a black woman who would have been the first black artist, black woman to have won in 25 years since Lauryn Hill in 1999. In a year where she was undeniable for the win. Let's be honest, SOS was an album that didn't just touch black folk in the way that you could argue maybe that was the case for Beyonce's albums, a la a Self-Titled or Lemonade or Renaissance. Maybe you could have argued that Beyonce only really touched the black folk only with those projects, even though I don't think I agree with that, but maybe somebody could have argued that. But let's be honest, SOS was an album that didn't just touch black people, it didn't just touch white people, it touched the entire world. Like, SZA literally touched the entire world with her album. All races, all demographics, all ages, all people who don't even love R&B like that were all tapped into what SZA had going on this year with Kill Bill, Snooze, and other hits off the album, and just the album in general as a whole. That masterpiece of an album really changed the world in this past year and really will go down as one of the greatest albums of our time. It will. While Taylor had an amazing amount of commercial success and she had an amazing amount of impact throughout the year with her re-recorded albums and her Eras tour, which is what I think at the end of the day was what really won it for her. It's fucked up because the Grammy for Album of the Year should not be about who had the biggest year in terms of, sales, commercial impact. It shouldn't be about who had the biggest look, which was Taylor. Taylor had the Eras tour. She was on fire all year. She had the biggest year an artist could have had ever. But not a lot of that had to do with Midnight itself as an album. I like Midnight, and I'm a black man that loves pop music, R&B, hip hop. I love like all genres. And this is nothing against Taylor. Like, I want y'all to realize that for all my Taylor Swift fans out there, I have nothing against Taylor Swift. I'm a fan of Taylor Swift. I love her music. I love Lavender Haze. That's my shit. I love Karma. I love Anti-Hero. I love a lot of the other tracks off the album. Like, I like Taylor Swift a lot. I love her music. I'm looking forward to a new album when it drops in April. But at the end of the day, if we're talking just music, just the album itself, no commercial impact, nothing, no touring, because that's what the Grammys are there for, just to judge the music itself. That's it. If we're going on just that alone, SZA had one of the most acclaimed albums of this decade so far. One of the most beloved, adored, critically adored across the board, like a 90-something plus on Metacritic, like one of the most adored albums of this time period, like hands down. She had probably the one album in the category that unanimously almost any type of music lover, any type of person in the world would have agreed that they either were rooting for it to win, or even if they were rooting for it to win, that they loved the album. And that's the album that should have won Album of the Year. This is not anything against Taylor Swift. I have nothing against Taylor. I love her, and I love her music. I appreciate her. And this is really not her fault, and I feel bad for her because this is not her fault that she won for the 4th time. But for Taylor Swift to really have broken history as now being the only artist to have won Album of the Year 4 times is, to me, a little bit disgraceful, not within that fact of itself, but the fact that this happened for an album that wasn't even that groundbreaking musically. It didn't make that much impact in the world. Beyond Anti-Hero, and I guess Lavender Haze a little bit, Karma a little bit with with the Ice Spice remix, the album didn't really make that much noise in terms of the musical impact to the culture. It really didn't. What really made noise for Taylor Swift this year was the Eras tour and the film, and her continuing of her re-recorded albums. I really feel like ever since Taylor Swift went through the whole shit with her masters and Scooter Braun, it's almost like, even though I think Folklore deserved Album of the Year, I'm not really mad at that win. Folklore deserved Album of the Year. I'm not mad at that. That was a really cool album that deserved that win. But for Midnight's to be the album that won her 4th Album of the Year is insane to me, because I feel like, and I'm pretty sure history will affirm this from me, I'm pretty sure that even this album coming out this year for Taylor Swift might be better than Midnight's. Taylor Swift, I know for a fact, will go on to make albums that are way better than Midnight's. And I would have been okay with her making this history on another night and another year for a better album. This should have been SZA's year. She had everything you needed to win Album of the Year. She checked all the boxes. The music was mwah. The music was fire. Hits on hits. Dominated the charts. Dominated the global zeitgeist. Dominated the culture. Like, critically adored across the board. Everybody was rooting for her. Every other publication, every other, blog, culture critic was gassing the fuck out of her this year. Everybody made it seem as if it was SZA's night, like she was the belle of the ball. And she still won 3 Grammys. We thank God that she won three that she definitely deserved. But it's like, for her not to win Album of the Year, again, no artist is deserved any Grammys. No artist is deserved any Grammys. I want to reiterate that. But we have to be real here, y'all. We have to be honest. The Academy, I'm so disappointed in y'all. But again, the reason why I said it didn't make any sense, but it does, is because I rewatched some parts of the Grammys again, actually tonight. And I rewatched the clip where Taylor Swift won. And the moment Celine Dion announced Taylor Swift Midnights, I saw like this sea, no shade, I saw like this sea of like white women who I'm pretty sure like a lot of her friends and just other people in the industry, like other people who work in the industry who were sitting like around Taylor, like a lot of people were sitting around her. They all were like, ah! And I wasn't offended by that, because you're excited that you're happy that an artist that you like is winning and all that. But to me, that visual, that picture just made me be like, oh, it makes sense, because at the end of the day, even though if we're talking about chatter and whispers and what the commentary was throughout the industry, and that would tell you that everyone was rooting for SZA apparently, and everybody wanted SZA to win. But at the end of the day, when it came down to it, I think Taylor just edged her out. Taylor edged SZA out, not only because of the dominant year she had in the media with the Eras tour and the film and the re-recorded albums and all so many other things, and her relationship with Travis Kelce and all that. Like, there's so many things that are brewing for Taylor Swift this year that made sense. But just in terms of like the voting body and the industry and the Academy membership, I was like, yeah, like at the end of the day, I don't know when those change, but the Academy definitely now and probably for a long time will still be white, older, dominated. And even in a year where I thought the older white zeitgeist of the Academy, of the Recording Academy voting body, would still somehow affirm SZA and just give it to SZA, because not as like throwing, black people a bone, but because SZA actually deserved it and really dropped a landmark album that the Grammys should have, been on the right side of history for. That's what the Grammys should have gave, SZA the Album of the Year trophy for. Because to be on the right side of history and to affirm a groundbreaking album that truly deserved it and truly, where that honor will make sense decades and generations from now. We will definitely look back on this awards ceremony and feel like, wow, nobody is like mad at Taylor, because it's not like Midnight's is a whack album. But for it to have won in a year where we all know that SZA should have won, people who are actually in tune with music, and not just people who are just followers of trends and headlines and whoever's in your face all the time, like a Taylor Swift, no shade. But that's the one thing about SZA. SZA don't like to be in people's faces, so maybe that's why she lost. But at the end of the day, like, if we're talking about just the music, which is what the Grammys are there for, SZA dropped the Album of the Year. And again, music is subjective, so I don't want to act as if SZA is the one that was owed it compared to any other artist in the category. I love Olivia Rodrigo's album. I love Miley Cyrus's album. I love Jon Batiste's album. I love Janelle Monáe's album. And I can go on and on. I think the only albums I didn't actually listen to up until now, I'll be honest, in this category, was The Record by Boy Genius and Did You Know There's a Tunnel Under Ocean Boulevard by Lana Del Rey. Those are the only two albums to this day that I've not heard yet. But I appreciate Lana Del Rey, and I know the role, Boy Genius was going crazy last year. Shout out to them. Shout out to them. But it's like, I've listened to 6 out of these 8 albums, and I personally feel like SOS should have won. And I think that most of us feel that same way. So the fact that I know that the world feels that way, but the Recording Academy couldn't reflect that, to me is like, it doesn't make sense, but it does. And it just shows that, like, at the end of the day, while we all should, want to, be in tune with what's going on at the Grammys and, be tapped into them every year. And while the Grammys will forever always be a critical piece of music history, which is why I tap into them, because they're still important. At the end of the day, we can't look to the Grammys to be our barometer for what really dominated the culture every year. We can't. We can look to them, as an interesting, thing to look at. I like to talk about them. Oh, this is what happened. This is what got awarded. But we can never pinpoint the Grammys as our barometer for what moved culture every year. We can't, because they fuck up too many times for us to affirm that they are the barometer. They are the barometer on paper. Winning Grammys helps artists, get in rooms and, up their price. And though, to the industry, it does matter. And that's why we should, I will always tap in, because it does matter for the industry. But in terms of us everyday folk who just listen to the music and, have the music, fuel our lives and our memories, the Grammys, they're interesting. But we will never look to them for the barometer for what was the best. Because sometimes they get it right and we appreciate it. But sometimes they get it the fuck wrong. And even on a year like this year, and even on an occasion like this where it was so blatantly obvious that SZA had everything you needed, and literally was everybody, like 7, 8, 9 times out of 10, was most people's front runner to win this award, and she still lost. And one thing about it during Black History Month was why it really hurt even more, because at the end of the day, Jon Batiste just won 2 years ago. Shout out to that king. Amazing project, amazing artist, an amazing man. Shout out to him. A black man won this award 2 years ago. So we can't say that they don't give it to black artists, and that's why feel like that's why they low-key did it. But again, even when a black man gon' take his win and get his things, the one thing that the world will continue to show time and time again, and I'm fucking sick of it, is that y'all will play in a black woman's face time and time again, and y'all will spit in a black woman's face when she does nothing but hold the world down. Black women do nothing but hold the world down every goddamn day and give their best and give their everything to the world in every industry, in every field, every job, every industry, every sector of the world. Black women are quietly behind the scenes running it. Only for white people and other people who are not, and even black men ourselves, other people who are not black women continue to spit in their face and not give them their things. the most disrespected person in the world is the fucking black woman. And SZA's, I'm sorry, I don't mean to make it that powerful, but it really gets me annoyed because even in a moment where the win was so undeniable, y'all still didn't give it to SZA. I can honestly, like, I can accept Beyonce's losses. I can, like, they weren't okay, but I can accept them when you look at the narrative and the numbers and the impact and all. You know, you can understand it. But while Midnight's win wasn't a shocker, it's like, wow, even in a year where y'all could have easily let Taylor Swift just chill, she's already won 3 times. She'll probably make better albums in the future. Yes, she had an amazing, gigantic, monstrous year. Yes, she did have that. But did that need to result in an Album of the Year win? She won Best Pop Vocal Album. She could have just had that. And even that, I would have given to Olivia Rodrigo. No shade. But she could have just had that. Did she need to win an Album of the Year for the 4th time, breaking history, for an album that wasn't even one of her best? Bro, like, come on. She will make better albums in the future. Why do we have to give it to her for this album? We could have given it to her for maybe this next album or albums that will come later in this decade or next decade that will be deserving of that 4th, 5th, 6th win for her. Why did it need to be for Midnights? In a year where SZA had an album that will shift culture for generations to come, and the win was so undeniable for her. Like, it was so, everybody was rooting for SZA. But when it came down to it, Taylor edged her out because enough people in the Academy felt like, man, even though, you know, SZA, you know, I'm gonna vote for Taylor because she had an amazing year because I love her. It's one big popularity contest, and I hate that we go off of the Grammys in the sense that they really should be the barometer for music and our consumption of it, and that's what it should be. But unfortunately, especially in today's day, a lot of times they do get it right. But then again, a lot of times it's a motherfucking popularity contest, bro. And I hate that. And to me, that's the one thing that I want to change about the Academy. I want everyone in the voting body to not be invested in voting for your friends. I don't want people to be voting for who you love the most. Vote for who you thought had the best song, the best album, who was the best artist in the category. Vote for that, bro. Stop voting for... There's too much political shit and there's too much BS behind the scenes. There's too much popularity contest shit going on. Name recognition. These things are so critical these days. These things are why we see a lot of the bullshit. Because honestly, there's so much music coming out. We don't have enough time to consume it all, and there's only so many artists that have a high profile like a Taylor Swift or a SZA. So it's like, you know, I feel like the Grammys did a really good job of spreading the wealth this year, but at the same time, like, there was some erroneous things that happened. And honestly, a lot of the wins, I feel bad for this rant because actually a lot of the wins this year were pretty great, and I'll go through them in a second. But Album of the Year really pissed me off and really irked me because it was so unnecessary. I'm not mad at Taylor Swift at all. I'm not mad at her because it's not her fault. She didn't vote. It's not her fault. But for the Academy, all y'all collectively, all you guys who voted for Taylor Swift, I'm not even mad that some people voted for Taylor Swift. That's fine. But the fact that the majority couldn't get it to be SZA is like what? So yeah, I hope I didn't forget anything in that rant. I know that was long as hell. I'm sorry. I hope you guys watched all that. I hope you guys, you know, listen through that. If you didn't, I understand. But if you did, thank you. I appreciate you. I hope you feel me. I hope you really hear me and feel what I'm saying and don't just be offended and don't just, I really hope you felt me on that and you connected with me on that. So definitely put down below in the comments what you thought about this whole, SOS snub for Album of the Year. I really want to know y'all thoughts. Let me know if y'all think I'm tripping, or if you agree with me, or if you think you have a different take on it. Let me know down below. I really want to know. I appreciate y'all. But all right, y'all. Let me move on to the next topic I want to talk about, and that's the performances. I'm gonna move through this quickly. The main performances were definitely Dua Lipa performing Training. I don't think I'll list every performance real quickly. So Dua Lipa started the show. She opened up with Training Season, Dance Tonight a little bit, and then Houdini, loved it. Tracy Chapman and Luke Combs also performed Fast Car, which is such a beautiful moment. I love seeing that older generation, new generation duetting together, and I loved that Tracy Chapman gave Luke Combs the blessing to sample the song and then performing with him at the Grammys. I love that. Amazing moment. She looked amazing. They sounded great together. That was beautiful. I love that. And then SZA performed a medley of Snooze and Kill Bill. And I have to admit, while I thought SZA sounded amazing, And while I thought, she really did a good job towards the, when we went into Kill Bill, the choreography, all the dancers, she sounded great. She did a great job, had great energy. She looked great. I wasn't in love with like the setup of Snooze because I feel like Snooze is such a beautiful, delicate R&B song, and yet she was like in this like heavy ass trench coat and this like brim hat, and like you could barely see her, and she was like in this like abandoned building with like a a burning garbage disposal thing. It just I feel like the aesthetic of that setup on stage didn't really fit Snooze. It felt weird to me. And it's almost like she was like she felt kind of like scared and timid when she first started singing Snooze. Not like she sounded good, but it's like I wish like that performance had gotten more, like whether it was like more on stage and then like a guy came out at some point, but it was random. Like, so I wish they had a different setup for Snooze. I feel like that staging should have been different and more like dynamic and interesting and more soft, especially to contrast with Kill Bill, which is like more like I'm gonna kill my ex and all that. So I wish they did something softer and more beautiful with Snooze and then transition into Kill Bill. But Kill Bill was pretty great. She sounded great. She looked great. The choreo was great. Yeah, I think SZA did a good job for the most part, even though I wasn't in love with Snooze that much. I feel like I wish they reworked that treatment, but she still sounded great, so we love that. And then Billie Eilish and Phineas performed What Was I Made For next. Billie sounded good. I love it. It was a simple, just her and Phineas at the piano. Loved that. They sounded great. That was really chill performance. Really, she looked great in that, giving AKA vibes in her pink and green. I loved it. And then Miley Cyrus performed Flowers, giving baby, young white Tina Turner. Loved that for her. She did amazing. Looked and felt like a superstar up there. She killed it. Definitely one of my favorite performances of the night. She did an amazing job. Like she's like, don't act like you don't know my song. Why y'all not singing my song? Right? Don't act like you don't know it. I love that. I was like, you better tell them, Miley, because they know your song. They better sing it. Like, word. And then she's like, I just won my first Grammy. I like, she was getting her life up there, and I loved it. She was having a good time on the stage, and I loved that for her. She did amazing. Loved it for her. And then Olivia Rodrigo performed Vampire. Definitely wasn't one of the highlights of the night, but she did a good job. She sounded good. The performance was cute. Loved the bloody vibes, vampire vibes, and like blood spilling in the background. It was cute. Not kind of a little boring, but she sounded good, and it was smooth. It wasn't bad. And then U2 performed Atomic City back in the Sphere in Vegas. That was kind of forgettable, but visually it looked cool with the Sphere, but I don't really care about that. But shout out to U2. And then we had the In Memoriam with Stevie Wonder, Annie Lennox, John Batiste and Nesby of Sounds of Blackness, Corey Henry, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, Fantasia Barrino, and Adam Blackstone performing a bunch of songs. Stevie Wonder duetted with Tony Bennett. That was beautiful. I already talked about this before, but yeah. So that In Memoriam was great. I love seeing all the people that we lost because it was great to reminisce on all the people that we lost this year and just be thankful for life and thankful for the people that we still have here and thankful for just all those legends that we've lost gave to the world. So that was beautiful to see. Loved it. Fantasia killed the Tina Turner tribute with Primary. She ate that up. I love John Batiste and Nesby, doing Optimistic and Lean on Me. That was great. Shout out to them. And then Joni Mitchell. Which I can't believe was her first performance at the Grammys. That was her debut performance at the Grammys, which is insane. I could have sworn like Joni Mitchell performed at the Grammys in decades past, but I guess not. So that was Joni Mitchell's first performance at the Grammys, and she performed Both Sides Now with Brandy Carlisle and other people like Blake Mills and Allison Russell, who won for Best American Roots Performance for her song Eve Was Black. Shout out to her. Another black person that won on Americana categories. I love that. Shout out to her. And Jacob Collier as well. So that was a really cool performance. Joni sounded amazing. It was such an emotional and beautiful performance by her and everybody else that played on stage. Such a beautiful moment. I love that performance. It was really good to see Joni get her flowers in that way. She sounded great. I know she's been through like a lot the past years with her health, so it's good to see her get that moment to perform that beautiful song. Shout out Joni Mitchell. And then Travis Scott and Playboi Carti had an appearance performing, My Eyes and I Know and Fiend. I think most of it was Fiend. And the thing about it is I actually love all these songs. I like My Eyes and I Know and Fiend, especially Fiend. I love Fiend. But Travis Scott, dog, what in the hell was that performance, bro? Literally one of the worst Grammy performances I've ever seen in my life. That was one of the worst performances I've ever seen in my life. A complete throwaway. And it made me even more mad that they didn't have like a Tyla or Victoria Monet or Killer Mike or somebody performing at the awards that would have done a better job than Travis Scott. And I'm kind of mad because I feel like Travis Scott like really had everything in his power to actually give us like an amazing performance, like kind of like on some like what Tyler Creator did a couple years ago, like during the Igor era. I feel like Travis Scott could have like given us like his version of that, like really dope setup. Like the staging, I like the staging. The staging was cool, but it's like in terms of like his energy and like what he gave, just like, you know, screaming, rapping his lyrics, you could barely hear what he was saying, and then like spending like 2 minutes just like slamming chairs on the stage, like thinking he was a rock star, but like not really. Yeah, it was just, and I love Travis Scott. I'm a fan. Like I love Travis Scott, but that was terrible. And I feel like he's giving better performances in like way smaller stages and venues. So I don't understand why you chose the Grammys as the place to have that whack ass performance. It didn't make any sense. And I hate to say that during Black History Month because, you know, Travis Scott, that's my man. I'm a fan. But that was disappointing. Like Travis Scott, that was a waste. Like terrible. That was bad. Terrible. But shout out the music. I love Fiend. Good song, but that was terrible. And then lastly, Billy Joel and LaVey, ended off with his new song, Turn the Lights Back On, and You May Be Right. That was cool. Kind of boring, but, you know, it ended the show. This, to me, might have been one of the most, like, least interesting performance slates at the Grammys in a long time. It wasn't, like, bad, but just wasn't a lot of, like, superstars and, like, big moments performance-wise. But I will say, if I had to pick my favorite performance, I think it might be a tie between Miley Cyrus with Flowers. My girl ate that up, giving, you know, pop superstar with a rock edge. She just looked like a star up there, you know, giving Tina Turner but a new way and her own way, being herself and just looking like a superstar. She killed it. She ate it up, had energy, and just she was radiant. She was amazing. So Miley Cyrus definitely was one of my favorite performances of the night, as well as probably the whole In Memoriam section, especially Fantasia, you know, attributing Tina Turner. That was definitely the highlight for me as well. And I also really loved Joni Mitchell's performance too. Joni Mitchell's performance was really sweet, really beautiful. Oh, I'm so sorry. I forgot to mention, before Billy Joel, we also had, my bad, y'all. I'm sorry. Some of my faves too. I'm sorry, y'all. I forgot about Burna Boy, Brandy, and 21 Savage performing. You know, On Form, Burna performed that first off of his new album, I Told Them. And then he went into City Boys, and then Sit on Top of the World with Brandy and 21 Savage. And I have to be honest, y'all know I'm Nigerian. Nigeria, we know they carry the last. I love my people. I love Burna, and I love Brandy, and I love 21. And I'm not really mad at them. I don't think this is really their fault. But I really hate how that performance was coordinated because I feel like it felt so rushed. Like, I felt like it was like, you know, Burna did On Form for like 2 seconds. Actually, no, he did it for a good amount of time. But I also don't like that he performed On Form. I wish Burna had opened up with a classic record of his, like a Yay or Anybody or even Last. Like, I wish Burna had opened up with a song that is more recognizable in his catalog to start off with the energy. Even though I love On Form, like a lot of people don't know that song. So it's kind of like, you know, everybody's kind of just like, okay, I don't know the song, but I'm rocking. If you had opened up with like Last or Yay or Anybody, like I feel like that would have got the energy going, like, you know, much more. But it's cool. And then he went to City Boys, but he performed City Boys for like 5 seconds, and I loved it. But you know, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like he you know, he ended up, he did what he had to do. You know, he gave us the stomp on City Boys. You know, I loved it, but he did it for like 5 seconds and then it was done. So I was like, okay. And then, you know, Brandy came out, my girl, one of my faves. Brandy came out to perform, you know, Top of the World. You know, her, you know, the sample for Sit on Top of the World, and she sounded great. My girl looked amazing, and then, you know, the black trench coat, the red boots, you know, she looked good. Brandy looks good. And 21 Savage came out like, you know, this red outfit. He looked good too. But 21 was mid as hell. Even though I love 21. 21 looked like he didn't want to be there, which I hated for him. But, you know, yeah, it is what it is. 21 looked like he was just trying to, you know, perform and get off that stage. But Burna and Brandy looked like they looked good. They were engaged, had good energy. But unfortunately, it just felt like there was no coordination with, like, you know, having some type of like cool choreography that they were all doing, or just like, I don't know, it just felt like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, it felt like a letdown as a whole. Like, I was hoping Brandy would have had more to do than just singing "Sin on Zabdo," like just singing that sample. Like, she sounded great, but I wish she had more to do. Burna was good, but it's like, it just felt like he just like it felt like he had to like rush through the whole thing. 21 looked like he didn't want to be there, so I was really disappointed by that performance because I love all 3 artists involved and I love all their music, and that was the performance I was most excited for. like as soon as they announced that Brandy was gonna be performing with Burna Boy, I was like, oh my god, it's gonna be an amazing like moment. But it didn't end up being, I feel like, the big moment that it should have been. Like, this is Brandy, on Burna Boy, and he sampled her song. Like, this should have been a moment, like a cross-generational, cross-genre moment. And it was cute, but it wasn't like, it didn't feel like a moment it should have been. It felt like it was just like kind of like an afterthought for the Grammys. Like, okay, let's just get them out real quick before the last performance for Billy Joel, and then it's over. And it just, I wish they had given more care and attention and really coordinated that performance better, because that moment deserved more for the world. Like, people who are fans of Brandy, people who are fans of Burna and just Afro beats and African music in general, that was also the first time I think we ever had African music performed, or at least, performed by an Afro beats, African artist, at least a mainstream one. I'm pretty sure that was the first time, that ever happened. And it felt like such an afterthought. Like, so I don't, as an African man, I don't like that. Like, I feel like that should have been more of a moment. But it is what it is. At the end of the day, I'm still glad they all got that look, but I just felt like it should have been treated with more care, and there should have been more done with that performance. But it wasn't terrible. But I was looking forward to being one of the highlights, and I feel like it just wasn't that. But it's okay. But shout out to Burna and Brandy 21. Still a cool performance. Still pretty cool. But definitely, like I said, my favorites are definitely, Miley Cyrus for Flowers, the In Memoriam, especially Fantasia, performing Proud Mary. Love that. And then also Joni Mitchell. I think those are my favorite performances for sure. And also, honorable mention is Dua Lipa for sure. Shout out to Dua Lipa. Honorable mention for sure. And also SZA for honorable mention. Besides the beginning of Snooze, the rest of it was great. So definitely honorable mention for SZA and Dua Lipa as well. My least favorite performance is definitely Travis Scott and Playboi Carti. I'm sorry. A wash. That was trash. Basura. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the performances. All right, so let me move on now to all the main winners of the Grammys this year. Let me try. I know this video is long as hell, so let me try to move on. So let's talk about all the winners for the big categories, the big four, which is kind of now the big six, because now we have Producer of the Year and Songwriter of the Year as well. But for the general fields, we have Record of the Year. Miley Cyrus won for Flowers. I love that win. I'm glad it won. I was rooting for my mama, but I'm glad that Flowers won. Love that for Miley Cyrus. Definitely deserves. Album of the Year went to Midnights, as we all know. Hate that for Midnights. Even though I like that album, but SOS should have won, as I already talked about, for Days and Nights. No pun intended. Song of the Year went to What Was I Made For? And I actually love that it won. I actually feel like, narrative-wise, I really feel like Taylor Swift should have won this category for Anti-Hero, because even though she's considered one of the greatest songwriters of our time, Taylor Swift has still never won Song of the Year. And I feel like this would have been an easy year to just give it to her. Anti-Hero was a good song. It was accessible. It was loved across the board. And What Was I Made For already won in the song written for visual media category. So I feel like Taylor Swift could have just won this for Anti-Hero, and it would have been a great way for her to still have won a General Field Award, but not Album of the Year. She's won Album of the Year now 4 times, but she hasn't won Song of the Year. And she's considered one of the greatest songwriters of our time. So it's like, why not? I feel like this would be a great time for her to have won the award for the first time with Anti-Hero. But at the same time, I was personally rooting for What Was I Made For, so I'm glad that it won, because that's the song that really should have won, so I'm glad it did win. But, just again, in terms of narrative, Anti-Hero, I feel like should have been the one to win here, and SZA should have taken Album of the Year. And Billie already took this, a Grammy for visual media for What Was It Made For. And it's going to win an Oscar probably, next month, so. But whatever. I'm so happy for Billie and Phineas, because What Was It Made For is such a good song. Love that record. Best New Artist, Victoria Monet. I already talked about her. Victoria Monet, I'm so happy for you. You deserved it. I was rooting for you, and I'm glad you won. The right person won. The right person won. I love that. Shout out, Victoria. I'm so happy for you. Producer of the Year non-classical went to Jack Antonoff. As I expected, I'm not mad at it, but I was rooting for D-Mile. At the end of the day, D-Mile was only nominated for one project, and that's Victoria Monet's Jaguar 2. So I knew he was gonna have a hard time winning with just one project for this nomination, but he still deserved it, to be honest. But then again, Jack Antonoff definitely deserves it too. I'm not mad he won, especially for the 3rd year in a row. Jack Antonoff has not won this category 3 years in a row, which is insane. The only other person that won Producer of the Year 3 years in a row was Babyface. So now Jack Antonoff matched Babyface's record, which is cool and deserved, because he's one of the greatest producers of our time. But I do wish D-Mile had won it, but hopefully D-Mile will win in the future year. But shout out to Jack Antonoff, congrats, bro. I also would have loved to see either Hit Boy or Metro Boomin take it as well, but it's cool. Songwriter of the Year, that went to T-Ron Thomas. Shout out to my guy T-Ron Thomas. I tweeted about this. I said, yo, like T-Ron Thomas, a lot of people don't know this man, and that's fine. But this man definitely wrote on one of your favorite songs. Like, this man has quietly been a legend in this game for years and years and years. Just racking up credits left and right throughout his whole career. He has written so many hits. Even in the past year, the lineup of songs he had nominated here was great. T-Ron Thomas is quietly one of the greatest songwriters in the game. And I'm so happy he won this category in his second year. The first black winner of the category. I love that for him. But yeah, man, T-Ron Thomas he's a legend. Like, if y'all know songwriters like me, like T-Ron Thomas, salute, bro. Congrats on your win. Salute. And a Caribbean man at that, like from the Virgin Islands. I love that for him, bro. And his speech during the premiere ceremony was amazing. I love that for him. Congrats, T-Ron. You deserve that. In the pop categories, Miley Cyrus won for Best Pop Solo Performance for Flowers, as she should have. I predicted that. Best Pop Duo / Group Performance went to Ghost in the Machine by SZA and Phoebe Bridgers. Love that. I'm so glad it won. That was a song that I wanted to win. I thought that they were going to give it to Taylor Swift and Ice Spice for the Karma remix, but I'm glad they gave it to Ghost in the Machine, because Ghost in the Machine, in my opinion, is the best song in this category, and it's a song that should have won. So I'm glad it did win here. Love that. Best Pop Vocal Album went to Midnights by Taylor Swift, as I predicted, even though I was rooting for Guts by Olivia Rodrigo. I feel like Guts should have won this, but I'm not surprised Midnights took it. That's fine. I'm not mad at it. I'm gonna skip past the dance categories, but for Best Pop Dance Recording, that went to Param Param by Kylie Minogue, and I'm not surprised by that, and I'm happy for her. But I do wish that Rush by Troye Sivan had won. I feel like Rush is the one that deserved it, but I'm not surprised Param Param won. It had a bigger moment last year, but Rush deserved it. But it's cool. I'm happy for Kylie Minogue. Shout out to your second win after 20 years. Love that for you. I'll just say that in the rock and alternative categories, Boy Genius cleaned up, as did Paramore. And I'm sorry for Paramore. Bro, Paramore. Happy Black History Month. Happy Black History Month. For Paramore to be the first female-fronted band to win Best Rock Album. Love that. And I love the This Is Why album. I love This Is Why, a great album. This is why I later. You say the clothes is great, but you not get me out. I love that album. I love that song. So Paramore won for Best Rock Album for This Is Why, and Best Alternative Music Performance for This Is Why. So happy for them. Their first Grammys after their first win, like almost 10 years ago, pretty much. So happy for them. When those wins happened, I was like, oh my God, they won. Like, I didn't think they would. I thought maybe Foo Fighters would take Best Rock Album, and I thought maybe Lana Del Rey would take Alternative Music Performance with A&W, but Paramore won both of those, and I was so happy for her. I was up for them, but especially Haley Williams. But I was happy for all of them. And Metallica winning Metal Performance. Shout out Boy Genius, cleaning up the rock performance categories and the alternative album category. R&B, My Wheelhouse, let's go. R&B Performance went to Coco Jones for ICU. Oh my God. I thought that they would give it to SZA for Kill Bill, but I'm glad that the song that I wanted to won this category. They got it right here. They got it right. And Coco Jones is now a Grammy winner. I'm so happy for you, sis. Like, you won a Grammy for an amazing record. ICU is one of the greatest R&B songs of our time. I'm so happy she won it. She deserved. Great job, Coco. You deserve it. I'm proud of you. Happy for you. Mwah. Revel in this win. You deserve it with an amazing song. And shout out DJ Camper as well, the producer. DJ Camper, bro. Congrats, bro. Congrats. You deserve it. Y'all created an amazing song, and I'm glad y'all won. The right song won this category, so I'm happy about that. Best Traditional R&B Performance went to Good Morning by PJ Morton and Susan Carroll. I love this song, but I'm shocked that it won. I thought this would go to either Victoria Monet and Earth, Wind & Fire and Hazel for Hollywood, or Love Language by SZA, or maybe even Simple by Babyface and Coco Jones. But Good Morning won. Or I would have even been happy if Kane Dixon won for Lucky. I would have loved that. Shout out my guy Kane Dixon. I would have loved that if he won as well. Honestly, the song that I wanted to win least in the category is the one that won. And I'm not mad at it because I love this song. But I feel like, PJ Morton already has several other Grammys. And I'm happy for Susan Carroll. She was crying like a motherfucker when she won the award. I was happy for her. But I do feel like this category should have went to Victoria Monet and Earth, Wind & Fire for Hollywood. But it's cool. It's whatever. Victoria Monet still won plenty of Grammys, so she's fine. Best R&B song went to Snooze, which happened on the live telecast, as I already talked about. Love that. Shout out Babyface and Leon Thomas the third. I think the third. But shout out Leon Thomas, shout out Babyface, and shout out, Chris Riddick Tynes and Blair Ferguson for writing Snooze, which in my opinion is one of the greatest R&B songs of our time, and I think it's definitely gonna go down as like one of like our generation's greatest songs. Like it's gonna be like kind of like, you know how like Can We Talk is like that generation's like, you know, one of their greatest songs. Like Snooze will go down as one of the greatest songs of this generation. I'm so happy that it won this Grammy because it deserved it. This category of best R&B song was fire. Every song here was so good. On My Mama, I See You, Back to Love, Angel by Halle. All these songs were amazing, but Snooze is a different level of a song. So I'm glad that it won this category. Amazing record. Definitely deserved it. And SZA also won for Best Progressive R&B Album for SOS, as she should have. She should have won for Control, 5-6 years ago, but The Weeknd took that one out of nowhere. But yeah, so she finally won this category for SOS, as she should have. Shout out to the other nominees. A great category, but I'm glad SZA won. She deserved it. She should have. Best R&B Album went to Jaguar 2 by Victoria Monet, as it should have. I'm glad she won this category. She deserved it. I predicted this as well. I'm glad it happened. Amazing win. Amazing project. I'm glad she won for this category. Amazing album. My favorite album of 2023. Like, period. Now for the rap categories. Killer Mike swept. Love that for him. He got Best Rap Performance and Best Rap Song for Scientists and Engineers, along with Andre 3000 and Future and Alan Kane. Love that for all of them. Love that song. They deserved. And they also won Best Rap Album for Michael. Deserved. Even though I thought that category was gonna go to either Heroes and Villains by Metro Boomin, or maybe Utopia by Travis Scott, or even Her Loss by Drake and 21 Savage. I really thought that was going to go to one of those three albums, but they gave it to the album that deserved it, and I'm happy about it. Like, this is one of the few times where Best Rap Album, went to an album that wasn't predicted to win by a lot of people, but should have won, and I love that for Killer Mike. Deserved. Like, I feel like the rap like voting body, like the rap committees, like really like got behind Killer Mike this year, and I love that for him because he deserved. He had a great project. One of my favorite rap albums of last year. He killed that album, so I'm glad he won Best Rap Album. Even though I'm shocked he did, but I'm glad he did. And Best Melodic Rap Performance went to All My Life by Lil Durk and J. Cole, as it should have. Great song, glad it won. I know a lot of people be hating on that song. I don't know why, because what's the hate about the song? It's a great record. It has a nice hook. You put the kids, Durk snap, Cole snap. What's the hate about that song? It's a great song. So I'm glad it won. Definitely deserved that category. I'm glad it won. And then Best Spoken Word Poetry Album went to Jay Abbey for The Light Inside. I think he won it last year as well. Shout out to that king. Shout out to him. I'm just going to mention the jazz categories. Best Jazz Performance went to Samara Joy for Tights. Love that record. That's an amazing vocal performance. Tight by Samara Joy, that is a vocal performance. She killed that song. So I'm glad she won another Grammy. After winning her first two last year, she won another one this year. Love that for her. She deserved it. She looked amazing as well. What else do I want to mention? Also in jazz, I have to mention this. Michelle Andiocello won her first solo Grammy for Best Alternative Jazz Album, so I want to highlight that as well. I love that for her. She won Best R&B Song with Robert Glasper and her a couple years ago. For Better Than I Ever Imagined. Better Than I Imagined. I love that record. But this is her first solo win. She's been in the game for like 30 plus years, but this is her first win as a solo artist. I love that for her. I've not heard this album, but I heard great things about it, so I'm glad she won. I think she's the first winner for Best Alternative Jazz Album, so I'm so glad she won as the first winner of the category. That's amazing, making history as the first winner. Love that for her. So I prefer. She's an amazing talent, amazing voice, amazing artist. Shout out to her. What else do I want to mention? In the country categories, Chris Stapleton cleaned up with White Horse. Zach Bryan and Casey Musgraves, they won in country duo / group performance for I Remember Everything. Love that song. Lainey Wilson won Best Country Album. I thought that would go to Zach Bryan. I'm kind of surprised Zach Bryan didn't win that, but shout out to Lainey Wilson. And Americana, the only thing I want to mention is, again, Allison Russell won Best American Roots Performance for Eva's Black. I think she might be the first Black winner of this category, so I want to mention it. Love that. Happy Black History Month. Love that for her. I don't think a Black person has ever won an American Roots Performance. Oh, maybe I'm wrong about that. I might be wrong about that, but I think I'm right, but I could be wrong. And then Joni Mitchell won Best Folk Album for Joni Mitchell at Newport. Shout out to her. Let's see. In the gospel and Christian categories, Kirk Franklin won again for Best Gospel Performance / Song. Lecrae cleaned up as well in two categories. He won Contemporary Christian Music Performance / Song for Your Power with him and Tasha Cobbs Leonard. And he also won for a contemporary Christian music album for Church Close 4. I love that album. Shout out to Cray, a great project. I'm glad he won for that. Best gospel album went to Ty Tribbett. And the Blind Boys Alabama won for Best Roots Gospel Album. Shout out to them. In the Latin categories, I'll just mention that Karol G won for Best Música Urbana Album during the telecast for her album Mañana Será Bonito. Love that for her. Not surprised it won. Also, Peso Pluma won for Best Música Mexicana Album, including Tejano for Genesis. I'm definitely not surprised he won that for sure. Those are the only two categories I want to mention in the Latin categories. Sorry, everybody else. Best African Music Performance went to Tyler for Water, as I predicted. Even though I was rooting for Ira Star for Rush, or even, Shake It or Nolamide for I'm a Piano, or even Unavailable. Like, I would have loved for either I'm a Piano or Unavailable or Rush to win. Even though I love City Boys by Burna, I don't want City Boys to win. But I'm not surprised Water by Tyler won. It's the biggest song in the category. It's a great song. She put crack in that record, so I'm not mad she won. Tyler and her team put crack in that song. Sammy Soso, shout out to you, put crack in that song with that production. It's a great record, so I'm not mad that it's the first one of the category. But I do wish like a more purely African song had won. Like, Water has elements of I'm a Piano in it, but it's more of like a pop record. So I wish like a more authentically African song won it, like a Rush or I'm a Piano or Unavailable, but it's okay. I'm happy for Tyler. She definitely deserved it for a great song, so I'm happy for her. It's a bop, so I'm happy for her for sure. At 22, she won her first Grammy. Insane. And she looked so beautiful that night too. Shout out to her. She looked so good. Best Reggae Album went to Julian Marley and Antaeus for Colors of Royal. Let's see. Neither Davido or Burna won in Best Global Music Album, which was a shame, but not surprising. Best Comedy Album went to Dave Chappelle for What's in a Name. The best audiobook narration and storytelling recording went to Michelle Obama for the second time for her audiobook The Light We Carry, Overcoming in Uncertain Times. Love that for Michelle. Shout out to our former First Lady. She ate that up. And best compilation soundtrack for visual media went to Barbie the Album, as I knew it would. I'm not surprised by that. Best score soundtrack for visual media went to Oppenheimer. Shout out Ludwig Göransson. Proud of you, bro. Happy for you on that amazing score. You deserve that. Let's see. Best song written for visual media went to Billie Eilish and Phineas for What Was I Made For. We love that. They deserved. Best music video went to I'm Only Sleeping by the Beatles. I thought it would go to Billie Eilish, or maybe possibly In Your Love by Tyler Childers, or Count Me Out by Kendrick Lamar as a spoiler. But I'm not surprised that the Beatles won it, because apparently the director, or like the woman who did like the visuals, like she painted like every single like frame of it. So that's a lot of work. So I'm happy. I'm actually happy for her. Like, shout out to you. So I'm not mad at it. I want to say her name was either Sophie Hilton or Sue Laughlin or Laura Thomas. Or maybe M. Cooper. Maybe she's the one that did it. But one of them are the one that like painted like every frame in. So shout out to her. Best music film went to the David Bowie film Moon Age Daydream, and it went to the director Brett Morgan. So I was rooting for, the Kendrick Lamar film and really Dear Mama. I really wanted Dear Mama to win. That Tupac doc, Dear Mama, was so good. I was hoping that I would have won this category, but it's cool that it lost. But I was rooting for Dear Mama. And also the Kendrick tour film, Live from Paris, the Big Steppers tour. I also love that film as well, but it's all good. Best immersive audio album went to The Diary of Alicia Keys, which I'm not sure how that worked out, because it's a 20-year-old album. So I know they must have like remastered it and made it immersive, which is cool. I didn't realize like old albums could be submitted to this category, but love that for Alicia Keys and for all her engineers. I think the woman's name is Anne Minchiel. So that's been like her like engineer producer for like years. So I'm happy for her winning that Grammy. Shout out to her and George Massenberg as well. Let's see. Best engineer album on classical went to Jaguar 2, like I said before. Love that for Victoria and the team for Jaguar 2. Love that for them. Amazing. Let's see. What else do I want to talk about? Yeah, that's really it. That's it. All right, so that's pretty much it, y'all. Let me just go through, to end off the video, let me go through like my thoughts on Shutouts this year. So the one artist I was really surprised was shut out completely. I would say she's the one artist I was really surprised by was Lana Del Rey. I honestly thought that she would have pulled, either a win in alternative music album, or especially alternative music performance for A&W. I love This Is Why, and I'm glad This Is Why won. But I kind of feel like Lana should have took that category for A&W, to be honest. So I'm kind of surprised that Lana didn't get anything this year. She was shut out completely, and that one surprised me. I thought she was gonna get at least one Grammy in the alternative categories, but that didn't happen. But shout out to Boy Genius and Paramore. She's the one artist I was really surprised by. Other artists, I was kind of surprised by their shutouts, but not that surprised. Drake and 21 Savage, they didn't win anything in the rap categories. I was kind of surprised by that. I thought between both of them, they would have won at least one, mainly Best Rap Performance. I thought they were going to win Best Rap Performance, or maybe, Best Rap Song or Best Rap Album, but they didn't win anything in the rap category. So I was kind of surprised by that, but Killer Mike, ran through them categories, so it is what it is. I'm not that surprised, but I'm kind of surprised that John Batiste was shut out. John Batiste didn't win anything this year. I'm not surprised he didn't get anything in the John categories, but I thought he would definitely pull a win, like in the maybe like American Roots performance or the jazz performance category. Like, I thought maybe he might get one of those, but he already has plenty of Grammys, so he's fine. Metro Boomin, I'm kind of surprised that he shut out as well. He didn't win Best Rap Album or Producer of the Year. I'm not that surprised that he lost both, but I kind of thought he actually might prevail in one of those categories, mainly Rap Album, but it's all good. And also the Foo Fighters, I'm not that surprised, but I kind of surprised that they didn't win anything in the rock categories. I thought they would have pulled out, rock album mainly, but I'm happy Paramore won. So I'm not that surprised, but I'm kind of surprised by that. So those are the main artists that I was like kind of surprised by that they got shut out, but not that surprised. In terms of artists who I'm not surprised at all that they got shut out, I have a few, namely Olivia Rodrigo. I'm not surprised she didn't win anything. It made sense to me. Like, when I looked at every category she was in, I was like, yeah, I don't see her winning any of these. And she made great music. Guts is a great album, but I just think she just didn't have any luck to win in any category that she was in. None of them. So I'm not surprised Olivia walked home empty-handed, but she already has 3. She's fine. Dua Lipa also she was nominated for Song for Visual Media and Song of the Year, but she lost both categories to Billie Eilish. So I'm not surprised she shut out as well. I'm not surprised Doja Cat got shut out. She was in she was in tough categories where she was pretty much not gonna win. So I'm not surprised she lost everything. That's fine. Janelle Monáe, same thing. She lost both categories to two giants. She lost in progressive R&B album to SZA and album to Taylor Swift. I'm not surprised by that. Janelle Monáe, I'm still sad that she doesn't have a Grammy until this day, and that she's one that really makes me sad. Like, I really wish she had a Grammy to her name. But hopefully it'll happen soon, and hopefully in the next couple of years it'll happen. Ice Spice and Nicki Minaj, I'm not surprised they got shut out. I didn't see them really winning any of their categories together and separately. Ice Spice too. I thought Ice Spice could have won pop duo, but I'm not surprised she lost at all. And I'm not surprised Nicki lost her Bobby World nominations. I'm not surprised. Burna Boy and Davido, I'm not surprised that they lost all their nominations. I was rooting for them. Naija, we don't carry loss. I guess we carried loss this time, unfortunately. But I was rooting for Burna Boy and Davido, but they lost all their nominations. But it wasn't surprising, to be honest. When you looked at their nominations, it kind of made sense. There was too much competition. The only category that I thought one of them, especially Davido, should have prevailed in was Best Global Music Album. I was rooting for both of them, but especially Davido and Global Music Album. But I'm not surprised that somebody else won that category. I'm not surprised by that. And then, I think that was it. So that's it. So yeah, y'all, I know this is a long ass video. I'm sorry, y'all, but hope you guys enjoyed it. That was my thoughts on this year's Grammy Awards. Let me know if you think I missed anything. If there's anything you think I forgot to talk about, I don't think I did. But if there's anything you think I forgot to talk about, let me know down below. I appreciate it. And let me know your thoughts on the 2024 Grammys down below. What were your favorite moments? What were your least favorite moments? What were your favorite performances? What were your least favorite performances? Who were your favorite winners this year? Who were your least favorite winners? Give me all your thoughts on the performances, and, the album of the year and all that. Jay-Z's speech. Give me your thoughts on, Trevor Noah as a host. Give me your thoughts on everything that happened this year. I want to know how you felt about it. And put your comments down below, okay? Appreciate y'all. If you haven't already, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And please go subscribe to my Patreon and go support, join the page. Go subscribe to my page right now, $3 a month, where you get exclusive content, longer videos. Definitely go check out my Patreon, link below in the description. I appreciate y'all. All right, y'all, this has been your boy Bright, the R&B Kid. Thank you for watching, but for now, I'm signing off, baby. Bye, y'all. Peace.
I came to vibe, you came to function, just do that, baby. Don't worry about nothing, no. I came to vibe, you came to function, just do that, baby. Don't worry about nothing, no. Relax just a little bit. You don't gotta worry, you can just